One of the things that we did a number of years ago was develop the Rock Solid Foundation tribute. It was a way of recognising our Indigenous alumni. A couple of years ago, it was a really big anniversary year for ECU. ECU had an anniversary. It was an anniversary year in terms of Edith Cowan herself. And it was also the anniversary year, the 60th in fact, of when Dad graduated as ECU's first Indigenous alumni. It was too good an opportunity with those 3 anniversaries for us to not do something that really celebrated the success of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander graduates of ECU and try to track some of their journey. And it started out small. In the first 10 years, there were only 4. In the second 10 years, there were only another 4. In the third 10 years, there were 15. And after that, everything grew exponentially. It was fantastic in terms of not just the numbers, but the disciplines of study that people were undertaking. I don't know that we would have ever realised that richness and the story of that success had we not thought to do that work.
We had 60 years worth of graduates that we wanted to display. We needed to think a little bit differently. It needed to be something more physical and more attainable and touchable for people. And not only those individuals whose names are on there, but importantly for those support networks and people who look up to those champions who've come through and graduated from university. At the graduation time of the year, towards the end of the year, at about 8, 9 o'clock at night, a little bit north of overhead, there's a star constellation, Yokala, or Pleiades, the 7 sisters. And I thought, what if we had a stone representation of those stars put down onto the ground here? What might that look like? And so in talking with Noel, he immediately loved that idea. So I went away and did some more research around that. But 7 being an important number in Noongar traditional cultural heritage. And in many different things that we see. There's a couple of different references for the 7 pillars of wisdom that pop up. And you see the 7 pillars of wisdom referenced in the Bible. Now usually the Bible is written in the he form, the Father, the Son, but in Proverbs 9:1 it's written in the she form. And it talks about her getting her learned house of wisdom in order and hewn her 7 pillars of wisdom, which is quite unique in that Edith Cowan University is the only Australian university named after a woman. And so we have a physical monument here that displays a celestial body which ties into creation or dreaming stories and have that link or reference via their story back to country. So we've used granite stone from Wombegine, an old quarry up by York, finding that 7 sisters constellation and then dropping it down into that grass. Not one sprinkler needed to be moved. The stones that we see through here, different shapes because of the natural form that each of those rocks were extracted from that quarry. So each of the stones has a raw natural side to it. It has a cut or drilled fractured side there as well as a clean cut face and then a highly polished plinth on the outside of it. And I liken those cut faces and the natural faces on those stones to the individual who comes into university and studies. So when you first come in, you're in your raw natural state. And then over the journey of your degree through here, you get drilled and fractured, shaved, cut, honed, so you're this highly polished plinth on the way out. And all the names on those stones are all facing to the south with the exit to the north. So the last thing being, symbolically as you do, you write your name on the wall and you exit out of campus into the big wide world. The colours that we see on the names form another part of the wonderful story that we wanted to share. So the colours come from our graduation regalia policy. So upon graduation, everyone's got their black mortarboard hat and black coats. And then there's colours that draped across people's shoulders depicting the school of endeavour that they've graduated from. So for the first 3 decades, you see exclusively sky blue, which is reflective of education, the teachers graduating through those first 30 years. And then into the 4th decade, we start to see some other colours creep in there. So we see some of the reds being from the health sciences, some of the dark blues being art degrees, and then a couple of green ones in there as well being the hard sciences, like environmental science and the like. A little knock-on flow effect project that arose from the Alumni Rock Solid Foundation's monument that we have here. Within each of those decade block, we wanted a special way in which we could recognise those members, and those members could easily identify with their decade cohort members themselves. So we came up with the idea, if we had pins that were struck that were exactly the same shape as the block that those people's names were emblazed upon, then at a quick glance, those members in a room would be able to say, oh, same pin, same decade cohort, and they're able to spark that conversation up about their time at Edith Cowan, or indeed prior to that, the teachers' colleges that make it up.
We still at ECU have lots of students, both Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander and non, who are the first in their families to seek a university qualification. The fact that we have this tribute is a physical demonstration to people that it's possible.
Every one of those people out there on those stones have influenced more than just their immediate family. All parts of the family tree are ignited by that individual's self-journey through that education pathway, let alone that one individual.
It's an inspiration. It's an inspiration to our current students and their families. It's an inspiration to people who are thinking about university but might still be at high school or even primary school. It's an ongoing inspiration to every person who can come at any time and see their name in that tribute. And it's fantastic, I think, that we are, at least to my knowledge, the only university that has this kind of tribute.